All right, time to go through this question. So let me just read it one more time. The position vectors OA and OB are 1, 2, and minus 3, 5. P lies on AB such that PB is a quarter of AB. Find the coordinates of OP. So we already established that this question isn't as straightforward as some of the other ones we did, right? They did not give you OP, they did not directly state what the vector of OP is. Okay, why would they do that? Okay, let me not say that. They didn't tell you what PB is or AB is, yet they want you to find OP. So it isn't as straightforward, right? But that's not a problem because we know what to do, I hope. Right. So because they did not, directly give us any information about OP, we need to, manipulate this a little bit so that we get all the information that we need. What did they tell us? Well, they told us that, let me just put this. Okay. They told us that the vector OA, so remember this, we should have an arrow indicating that we're going from O to A. I just can't do that on the PowerPoint because, I can't type that. Anyways, so they told us that this vector, the column vector for OA is 1, 2, 1, 2. And then they told us that OB is minus 3, 5. They also told us that PB let me PB now. A point P lies on the vector AB, and that PB is actually a quarter of AB. So for questions like these, I mean, it's not necessary for you to do a sketch, but I mean, it is helpful. So if you want to, that's not a problem, right? If you don't want to, that's also not a problem. So for this question, or any vector question, it really is helpful if you do a little sketch. So AB, let me just put P lies on AB. So this vector AB, we know that there's a point P lying on it. But the vector AB, how am I going to get that? Well, I know AB is the same as saying A to O, then O to B. That, following that path, would actually give me the vector AB, right? So I know that. Then they told me P lies on this vector AB, and that PB is a quarter of the entire vector AB. So PB is only a quarter of this entire vector. So I know PB, well, the point P has to lie somewhere here. So PB, this little piece right here, is a quarter of this entire vector AB, right? So like I said, you didn't have to do this sketch. I just think it's helpful since you're now learning, but I mean, not necessary, right? Okay, what are we doing? Well, first we need to find AB. AB is the same as saying OA plus OB. We know that for sure, right? So AO is minus OA, did that already, and then OB, they gave us OB, so there's no need to manipulate that. Minus OA, that'll be minus 1, 2, because 1, 2 is OA, plus OB minus 3, 5. Let me just come up here. So this is equal to minus 1 minus 2 plus minus 3, 5. Let me just erase this arrow here. What would I get? Add my x component, so minus 1 plus minus 3 is minus 4, and then minus 2 plus 5, that's positive 3. So this is my vector AB. We don't sub there, right? Because that's not what we're trying to find. They also told us that PB is a quarter of AB. PB is a quarter of AB. We now know that AB is minus 4, 3. So if PB is a quarter of AB, then PB has to be equal to a quarter of this vector right here, because this vector is AB. So a quarter of minus 4, 3. When I do that, a quarter by minus 4 is going to give me minus 1, and then a quarter by 3 is going to give me 3/4. So this right here is my vector PB. But how exactly does all of that help me to find the coordinates of OP? Back to this addition of vectors thing. We're trying to find OP, right? PB is the same as saying OP plus, hold on, let me change it. OP plus OB. Now I have, okay, hold on, let me just fix this a little bit. So PB is equal to minus OP plus OB. Now that I have a vector equation with OP in it, I can now find OP because I already have this and I already know this because they gave it to me. So I could just rearrange this equation to find OP. PB, we just found out that's minus 1 3/4, right? Let me use right here, you see. So from this, we up here, right? PB, we just found out that PB has the column vector minus 1 3/4 minus OP. We're trying to find OP, and we were given the vector OB. OB is minus 3, 5. So I could just rearrange this equation, make OP the subject, and find the vector OP. So let me do that now. So that's minus 1 3/4. This would come to this side, so it'll be minus 3, 5 is going to be equal to minus OP. So I subtract these, minus 1 minus minus 3, so that's minus 1. Hold on, right? So that's minus 1 plus 3, so that's a positive 2. 3/4 minus 5, that's minus 17 on 4. So 2 minus 17 on 4 is going to give me minus OP, but we're not trying to find minus OP, we're trying to find OP. So therefore OP, so type in space, I'm gonna just erase this. Therefore OP has to be minus 2 and plus 17 on 4. Do you understand that? Like, were you following for that whole thing? Did I lose you?
No, I get it, but let me just write it down.
Okay. Anybody else? Did I lose you at any point? Want me to go over anything? Makes sense. But you weren't even here. How does that make sense to you? Who's here? Jules, do you understand? Russian. Who's Russian? Anyways. Troy, do you understand?
Wait, yeah, I understand. How you get the 17?
How I get what?
The 17.
3/4 minus 5. Just put it in your calculator. So brackets 3/4 minus 5. You'll get minus, well, some calculators would give you minus 4 1/4. So it will give you this, a mixed fraction. And this is the same as minus 17/4 as an improper fraction. Are you getting it? On your
I
calculator?
got 23/4.
3.
23, yeah.
Let me know exactly what you put into the
Wait,
calculator.
wait. I put plus. Wait, my fault.
Okay, cool. Zafir, are you good? Not really, but I'll try again.
Yeah, -17/4.
Mhm. But that was for minus OP. We're not trying to find minus.
I learned this yesterday.
What?
I learned this yesterday.
Hold on.
Reese, how, so what would the negative OP be? The stuff in yellow? The -2.
Okay, hold on. I can't hear anything you say. Can you repeat that?
What's the answer for negative OP?
Negative OP was positive 2 and negative 17/4. That was
Oh.
negative OP.
Okay.
Let me just write it here. I only wrote it like that because I had no space. Let me just write it out. This side. So when I did this step right here, I said minus 1/3 minus -3/5. That answer, which is for negative OP, would have given me positive 2 and negative 17/4. That's the vector for negative OP. But I don't want negative OP, I want positive OP. So I would divide both sides by -1. Let me use yellow. So this would become negative 2 minus 17/4 would be positive OP. But then if I multiply this minus sign by the vector, I would get -2 and then positive 17/4. Is that clearer now?
Yeah.
I really. Right. What was you saying? Maybe you can run through the last question again. This one? What's the last question? This is this. Okay, that's gonna take a while. But all right. Okay. You know, this is why I asked you to tell me when you don't understand. So we don't have to go through the whole question. Then if you say you don't understand, I have to do it again. So let's go. What information did they give us? Right, so they told us that OA has the column vector 1, 2. OB is -3, 5. They also told us that a point P lies on the line AB and that PB is actually a quarter of the vector AB. So I was saying it's helpful to do a sketch when dealing with vectors, but it's not necessary. Helpful, but not necessary. So if I'm drawing this, if I'm doing a sketch of this, I would say starting at a point A, going towards a point O, O, then going from that point O to a point B, this right here, going from O to A, then O to B, that is what's going to give me the AB, right? Do you understand that so far? This is just me. I'm talking to Jules, but like, that's great that you understand.
Yes, miss.
Okay. Then they told me a point P lies on this line AB. So this green line, there's a point P on it, right? But where exactly is that point P? Well, I don't have the coordinates of that point P. That's what I'm trying to find. But they did tell me that the vector OB, give me OB number, PB, so going from the point B to the point A, that's a quarter of this vector AB. The vector PB is a quarter of this entire vector right here. So from this information, I could conclude that the point PB needs to be somewhere up here, but the point P needs to be somewhere up here. So that this vector right here, so this blue line, going from the point P to the point B, which is my vector PB, is a quarter of this entire vector AB. Do you understand that? Juice? Yes? No? Okay. We want to find OP, but there's a problem. It did not give me any information really, well, directly, so that I could find OP. I need to manipulate the information that they gave me in order to find OP. How exactly can we do that? So let me try this another way. Okay. Let me see if you understand this thing. So we're trying to find OP, right? OP. So we need a vector that could potentially give me the OP. So instead of going through that whole process like I did just now, where I found AB first, and then I found PB, and then I stated PB is equal to PO plus OB, it might be different for you, right? You might say, oh, I need to find OP, so I know I'm dealing with this right here, because this is the only vector that has P in it. So PB, so from the get-go, you might be like, okay, I know that PB has to give me PO plus OB. So that's the first thing you might pick up on, right? Everybody's different. But from there, you would realize that some information is missing. Yes, you have OB, but you don't have the PB. So you're trying to find this, right? They gave you this information, so you have this information, but you don't know what PB is. So from here, then you would realize, okay, I need to find a way to find this vector here, PB. And from there, you would go back to your question and be like, okay, PB is a quarter of AB. I don't know what AB is, but I can find AB. And if I find AB, then I'll be able to find PB, so I could, find OP. Like I said, everyone's different, so you might see it like this. You might start off with this vector equation right here. So PB is equal to PO plus OB. And then you would say, okay, I have this. I need to find this. So I need to find this vector as well, PB. I need to figure out what this is. That's the only way I could find this vector. Then you go back to your question. You realize that PB is a quarter of AB. So you know you have to find AB. And from there, so on and so forth, right? So let's say you did it this way. PB is a quarter of AB. So I know I need to find AB. What is AB? That's not a problem because I know AB is the same as saying OA and AO plus OB. AO minus OA, OB, it was given, minus OA, minus 1, 2. If I multiply this vector here by minus 1, it would become minus 1 minus 2. How did I get that? I multiply the x component, so this top number, by minus 1. 1 by minus 1 is minus 1. And then I did the same for the y component. So the bottom number, 2 by minus 1 is minus 2. So that's how I got this. Then this is plus minus 3, 5. When adding vectors, you deal with the components separately. So the top numbers are always the x components, so you'll deal with them. Then the bottom numbers are the y components, and you'll add them. So dealing with the x components first. Minus 1 plus minus 3, that would give me minus 4. And then minus 2 plus 5 would give me positive 3. Do you understand that too? Yeah. Okay. So now that you know what AB is, remember it goes to find PB, right? So now that you know what AB is, PB is a quarter of AB. And since AB is this vector right here, minus 4, 3, that means PB needs to be a quarter of this vector. So let me just erase this part right here. So we just found out that AB is actually minus 4, 3. So in order to find PB, which was the whole purpose of doing this, right? Because I need PB in order to find this vector here. It would be a quarter of minus 4, 3. And when I do that, minus 4 by a quarter is minus 1. And then 3 by a quarter is 3 quarters. So that's how I ended up with PB being minus 1 3 quarters. PO, we already know, we're trying to find it. And then they gave me OB minus 3, 5. Do you understand that now? Okay. Do you want me to continue or are you good there? Continue or are you good? Okay. I'm erasing this part right here, right? This whole left side. All right. So we already know we're trying to find this right here. Minus 1 quarters. We're trying to find OP. So we know that this PO would become minus OP. That's the only way we could find the vector OP. That's minus 35. I'm trying to get OP, right? So I'm trying to make OP the subject of this equation. So what I would do, minus negative 3 on both sides. Or you might say carry across this so it becomes negative. Minus 3, 5 would be equal to minus OP. And you might simplify this a little bit. And that's how we got the 2 minus 1 minus 3 would give me positive 2. And then 3 quarters minus 5 would actually give me minus 17 on 4. So this right here is the vector for minus OP. But that's not what we're trying to find, right? We don't want minus OP. We want positive OP. So what would I do to both sides? I would divide both sides by -1. Or some people might say multiply both sides by -1. I mean, doesn't matter, right? So this would end up being -2 minus 17 on 4. Yeah, would actually give me OP. But I won't just leave it as -2 minus 17 on 4. I would actually simplify this even more by multiplying the 2 on the -17 by 4 by this -1 here, for the negative side. And that's how I end up with, I'm just erasing this. That's how I end up with -2. So I multiply the 2 by the -1. And then I would also multiply this -17 on 4 by -1. Minus and a minus is going to give me plus. So OP is -2 and positive 17 on 4. Do you understand that? Okay, so this is not the final answer, right? I won't just leave it as OP is -2 positive 17 on 4. You might be wondering why. Because they asked me for coordinates. They asked me for the coordinates of the vector OP. Coordinate. We know that a coordinate is always in this form. Well, 2D, that is, right? So X and Y. So it's in this form. So that means since they ask you to find the coordinates, you have to write your final answer in this form. 2, well, the -2, that's my X component, so that will be my X. So this is -2, comma, Y, always the bottom number is my Y component, so 17 on 4. And this right here is my final answer, -2, 17 on 4. Everybody good with that? Yes? No? Can you do the Makai for me, please?